following thoughts, opinions, stories, and expressions are meant for those who will appreciate them. If you don't, we hope you keep an open soul to encounter another here on 34 Questions. Peace. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34, and tonight I have a very, very special guest. Edreece is in the building. How you doing today, Edreece?
What's going on, brother? I'm doing well. Happy to be here, thrilled. Again, grateful that people are willing to and able to hear my story. So excited to chop with you.
For sure, man. I want to thank you for your time. For the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we do some intro questions to warm up the tone or set the tone. And after that, we'll jump into the Wheel of Fate. We'll spin the wheel, and whichever number it lands on, that's how the show will flow. And after that, we'll finish it off with some closeout questions. Sound good to you, Edreece?
It does, man. I like the format.
Right on, man.
It's dope.
It's gonna be kind of like a lightning pace ish, because normally it's normally a 1 hour episode, but since you got a time constraint, we'll push through it. Let's start off with, how have you been? You've been doing well. You've been doing great. How you been lately, man?
Yeah, shoot. Doing well, man. Busy as heck, with Oakland Roots and Oakland Soul, Project 510, deep in the season and in the weeds of just ensuring that we get across the finish line and make people happy in the community. But professionally, I say I'm doing really well. Personally, humbled, grateful that, people around me have health and are doing well, especially in these times. I know it's been real difficult the past couple of years with the pandemic. So, I'm doing well, but obviously sending love to people that may not be in a similar space, because I think a lot of folks need it. But doing well, man. Appreciate the question.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm glad to hear you're doing well, and busy is good. Busy is good. My second question for you in the warm-up is, what would you like the audience to know about you?
I actually would love the audience to know more about Oakland Roots and Oakland Soul and what we're trying to accomplish with this cool project that we have on the radar in the Bay Area. It's a new concept. It's a professional sports organization, and I would love for people to just kind of rally behind it, get to know it, and familiarize themselves with it, given that it's a new sports entity and we don't have the 100-year-long history or whatnot of other sports teams, but we're rooted, no pun intended. We're here, and we're trying to show up for the community and do things that they appreciate. And so I would love for them to know about that, man.
For sure. And one quick follow-up is, what kind of sports does your business do? Is it the four major American sports, or are you guys doing something different?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we are called Oakland Roots Sports Club, Oakland Soul Sports Club, but the median in which we operate in is soccer or football, as most of the other world knows it as. But yeah, we are a soccer organization. It is a bigger vision that we tap into sports generally. Life is a sport. So for me, everyday life and associating with roots and soul in that regard is really meaningful. And, it is the 10-year-long, 30-year-long vision that, we have some of the next best athletes come out of Oakland and the greater Bay Area as a byproduct of our project. And that's kind of the big vision of the sports club. But we're a soccer team at our heart right now.
For sure. And the team is called Oakland Soul, correct?
Oakland Soul is our women's side, and Oakland Roots is our men's side. Yeah.
Gotcha. Oakland Roots, Oakland Soul, for sure. My third question for you in the warm-up is, if there was a way I could express the energy you possess, what sort of act could I do? Like, how would you like to be honored?
I say this a lot, and most people probably know me for it, is to hold doors open for people and to leave them open. It's my firm belief that small acts go a long way in this life and in our existence. the other day, NASA came out with like those crazy ass images of, the universe. And the thing that got me was the explanation of one of those images, which was, if you hold up that image to the sky, that's how much of the universe was in that one image. And there was like millions and billions of, planets and solar systems and galaxies in this one image. And that for me made me really think about like how we human beings see impact on planet Earth. It is not actually to like try to change the scope of our reality, but it's to do the small things, because when 7 billion people do small ass things for each other and to each other, it leads to a greater impact on our planet, which is the only thing we can control. We can't control anything else other than what we can do and where we live. And so if there's one way to commemorate, I'd say just hold doors open for people and be kind. You don't know what people are going through. We live in a world where mental health is a crisis. It's happening. Everyone goes through it on some level, and holding a door open, I think, can open a gateway into kindness for people that they generally don't think about. So I'd say that, man, for sure.
For sure, man. Now we know. And my last question for you in the warm-up is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
Oh, man, I'm constantly learning, bro. I'd say, 6 or 7.
For sure.
The only reason why I tip on that side of the scale is because I think you got to have confidence to be successful. But at the same rate, I'd like to think that I'm humble and grounded enough to know that like there's a lot of shit I don't know about the world and about myself. So constantly growing, constantly expanding, but I err on the side of confidence and knowing that, knowing that you don't know anything is powerful. And that's why I give myself a 6, 7. Room for growth.
No,
for sure.
I hear it, man. I'm normally a 5 on a good day. You feel me? I tell people all the time, at my best times, I'm probably a 10. But at my worst times, I'm probably at a 1, when I don't really know myself. But it is a fluctuation. It's a wave, and we all ride it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, boss. We're going to turn to the Wheel of Fate so we can knock out some questions. And just as a reminder, if there's any question that's too deep or too personal, you don't want to talk about it, feel free to pass, all right?
Cool, man. Appreciate you. And if I'm talking too much, you got to stop me too.
No, I mean, this is your space to talk, man. And no worries. I got you when we need to cut it off. But number 22 is your first one. And this question is, how much of yourself is genetics versus influence? Like, would you say you're more like what you can see in your family versus, what environment you grew up in?
I think it's a 50-50, bro. It's that nature versus nurture conversation that people always have. I think your environment matters. I think who you are is equally as important. I believe that you come onto this earth with a certain set of who you are as a person, and no environment can change that ever, right? And I firmly believe that. And then there's other things that you can, learn over time, and that comes with your environment. And I'd say I get a lot of who I am because that's who I am and that's how I was born. But then I also was able to accumulate amazing knowledge and skill sets because of the people that I was surrounded with, and because of the people that held me accountable and maybe guided me in one direction versus another. You feel me? And it could have just been one mistake, that I would have made that would have led my life down a different path. But because I had, an older cousin that looked after me, or a mom and dad that was a bit more strict, these things shaped my decision making. But who I was as an individual was who I was. Is the decision making that they helped shape, right? So I think it's 50-50.
For sure. If you can, one follow-up is, what's one way you would say you're like your family? That you could see tangibly, like, okay, that's how they are, that's how I am.
Yeah, well, I'm Afghan, man. So like I'm a first generation Afghan American. Um, there's values that come along with my culture that I couldn't have gotten being born in Oakland, raised in the Bay Area, living in America. And
Mm,
that's qualities of the Afghan culture that like, I mean, just it's only unique to that. It's the family orientation, being heavily and highly dedicated to my family and legacy, and trying to make an impact on this world, being good humans collectively, holding the door open, being hospitable, being generous. We're people that love saying goodbye for 3 hours because we thrive on interpersonal relationships, and those are the things that culturally I think I picked up on that I probably wouldn't have gotten if I wasn't Afghan and if I wasn't Muslim. Those two things shape my perspective, and those are the things that I really tap into on a daily basis, bro. For sure.
Much kudos staying family oriented, man, because American culture, I'm not saying it's not family oriented, but it feels like in different cultures that the immediate family, the nuclear family, is a lot closer than in American culture. And I feel like for me, I'm Filipino, and I would say in a similar vein, family is very important, but I don't think I've held my end of the bargain on that, which I apologize to them all the time. But yeah, I hope I can grow into different habits pretty much, and keep the family values alive somehow. But yeah, so kudos to you, man.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. I think a lot of foreign folks can get that, and Americans have that sense of tradition and culture as well. But yeah, I mean, there's some about the tribal way of how Afghans connect and communicate that you just don't get in, say, an urban city. Over time, these folks are heavily ingrained in their identity and are very, very proud, and it comes by way of just like, seeing through values of family and community. And I think, honestly, just speaking from the heart, I think we're losing that in America because of competition, because of, wanting to be better than someone else, or wanting to have more money than someone else, or clout to someone else. I mean, the way I see it, bro, and I'm probably beating this to death, is, you can't accomplish shit on an island by yourself. You put any person in this universe on an island and you tell them to exist for more than 70 days, the likelihood that, in 90% of those folks would be able to make it is like zero. Like they would just not make it. We thrive off of human beings and interactions. And, I just say isolate yourself for a little bit and think about how much you rely on other people to exist. And then you'll realize the importance of like other human beings and family and kinship and brotherhood and sisterhood. So yeah, I mean, I'm not the best at it either, bro. I gotta call my aunties and uncles back and all that. I gotta get better on it. But
No, for sure.
at least we know it, right? At least we know it. Yeah.
So you're building up your business, and it sounds like that you've been able to kind of get over the fact like you can't do it alone, right? You got to ask for help. You got to build a team and an organization to push forward. I have the hardest trouble with that, man. Like, just thinking that I can't do it by myself. And for you, how did you kind of get over? I would only assume, because I think a lot of people struggle with it, is how did you start asking for help, or at least, laying the foundations to find a team that you could push forward with?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything by yourself. I've said that, in the prior question. But for me, relying on the fact that there's human beings in this world that maybe are smarter than you or have a skill set that you don't have, that's a problem that I had to figure out as I was navigating this space, right? As an entrepreneur, you're constantly trying to control the process, and you're trying to believe that everything that you do has an impact and has control over the process. And at some point, dude, as scalability happens, as growth happens, you have to get rid of this notion that you can do all things, right? And rather, you got to be relying on people that have tremendous skill sets to complete things, to get things across the line. And I've been blessed to have been able to work with people at Roots now that are just some of the best people I've interacted with. And my barometer for hiring people, my barometer for whether or not we're successful is if the people we're hiring are actually better people than I am, and I could see myself working for them. Right? If you're hiring to hire someone, that's probably the wrong mentality, right? But if you're hiring to ensure that this individual can lead the organization one day in whatever department or function that they're hired in, man, and they're better people than you in certain regards, that's how you get people that check your moral compass as you go, and they ensure that you're not misstepping and you don't have blind spots, because everyone has a blind spot. But if you're around people that can navigate those for you and can call you out, I'm a big believer in radical candor, like being mad honest with each other, you know, holding each other accountable. Sure, truth hurts sometimes, but at the end of the day, man, like, you know, you gotta have skin that can take bullets, you know, because this game is difficult. This game of entrepreneurship ain't easy. And if everyone could do it, they'd be going to Barnes and Noble and reading books, and they'd make it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's rigorous ethic and discipline, and, you know, relying on other people, trusting other people. And that's, I think, the way to make it happen. And again, I say all this, bro, with like, I'm in the middle of this. We're 5 years into it. So like, you know, my perspective might change in a few years, but that's, at least for the little amount of success that I've seen, like, that's what's worked. You feel me?
For sure, man. For sure. I want to thank you for sharing your perspective, man. Since we're in a tight window, we're going to move on to this one exercise before the closeout questions, which is the 34th mantra. I'm going to ask you to fill in a phrase, which is I am, I can, I will. Give it a second to think about it. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll take you to that stage where you'll say your mantra.
I am, I can, I will, right?
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm ready.
All right, boss. Here you go. I am, I can, I will.
I am that I am. I can do all things, and I will give to humanity. Those are my three, man.
For sure, boss.
Pretty straightforward. Did the I am that I am, did that make sense?
I have an idea of what it means, but I'm sure you know you have your reasons as well.
What do you think? What do you think I meant? Out of curiosity, I wonder how people perceive that phrase.
The I am what I am.
I am that.
I am that I am. I am that I am. Mm-hmm. It kind of changes it a little bit. I think it's almost a personal perception of who you are. Like, I am that I am. It almost sounds like who you're envisioning and who you want to be, that's who you are. So that's how I kind of take it. You could tell me if I'm completely wrong, though.
Nah, I mean, that, you know, see the beauty of this phrase. And I got this phrase from this spiritual guy. His name is Dr. Wayne Dyer, has now passed. You know, he was dope cat, man. I read a lot of his books growing up. My dad and my mom would play his tapes while I was like on the way to soccer games and shit. And he used to say that, like, you know, when you walk around and you believe that you are everything that you believe you are, and that you are all things, and that you're integrated, and that you have an impact on things, life starts to like actually open up in a way for you that reciprocates that energy, right? And there was also this other thing about like, oh, you know, when you ask the world, you know, give me, you know, and you delineate yourself from the world asks you, give me. And that's when life becomes difficult. But when you see yourself as one with the world and everything and everyone, what happens is you give, right? And then the world reciprocates that back to you. And so that's kind of my interpretation of I am that I am. And I like to see myself as nothing less or nothing more than anyone else. Feel me? We're all kind of a part of the same fabric and DNA of this universe. So it's pretty deep, and you can unwind that how you please, but you tapped into elements of it. So
no doubt. I wish we had more time to explore that some more, but maybe another time, because I am about that energy. I am about,
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So we could go on about it for hours, but all right, man. I know you pressed for time, so let me give you the last question, the question that ties everything together, which is 100, 200, 300 years from now, your descendants are watching this video. What would you like to tell them?
Sheesh, bro, you came in with the heat. Dang. You coming in with questions that make me
you could pause there,
stay
man.
up.
You could pause there and we could push on another time.
No, I love it, bro. I mean, quite frankly, I've never thought beyond 100 years. Damn. I don't do anything in my life that may not have an impact, right? Like, I think that I'm here for a short period of time. We all are. Like, it's fractional compared to the grand scheme of things. And if I'm here and I'm just trying to do shit and get through time, like, that's not my prerogative. That's not how I get motivated. How I get motivated every single day to get up and stay active and be active is to just try to do some shit that leaves the world in a better place, that makes one person happier, that makes one person more confident, and I want to do that through things like sport, things like culture, things like fashion, things like design, because traditionally people have done it through means of religion and other things, politics. And like, I just think that a lot of that is not the way to humanity. I think the way to humanity is through human design, is to thinking about human emotion and empathy. And so I think to my descendants, maybe this is just a common message. 100, 200, 300 years is, it's very easy to get caught up in the bullshit of life, because we create a lot of complexities every day around existence and how to exist. And to never fear or feel sad about your actions, because your actions can have tremendous impact. And therefore, you shouldn't be fearful of acting, knowing that every decision has an impact on the earth and people around you, but you should use that as a tool to be motivated about doing good things, and treating people with respect. And I think if they could carry that theme of humanity, decency, and respect through the next 300 years, maybe each one of the descendants will treat 4 people with respect. And then that turns into another 4 people, and that turns into another 4 people. And now you're looking at thousands, hundreds, millions, whatever it is. And shit, that should be all of ours message, right? Is just like keep opening doors for each other and keep being respectful and kind. And I think, we might be in a better world in 300 years. You never know,
And
so
man, I think we are at and this might be big-headed of thinking of our generation or the time we're in right now, but at age of Renaissance, when we're kind of like realizing the